Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest Chapter 174 is officially out, and my god, was this an awesome chapter with some really cool action. We cut back with the Sace, and we get a massive reveal that just really makes a previous criticism and just thing that made me absolutely upset earlier in this section of the story just completely null and void, and I am so happy about it, and we'll get to it as we go through the chapter. We also get some really nice revelations about the irrational sects, and how what Mashima is doing with them is seemingly a really cool idea that also harkens back to other antagonists in the series and groups, which I'll get into when we further explore the chapter. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into the chapter. Chapter 174 of 100 Years Quest, titled Super Speed as a Way of Life, with Racer being on the cover with a cheerleader and a race car. Fits his character very, very much. But we start things off with the chaos of Dramil and Erza standing off against Wed. And we cut back to Ignia and Ferris as they're still squaring up. But Ignia says, humans have no idea how terrifying dragons really are, as then a massive explosion and ground-shaking earthquake occurs, with giant roots spanning out from the ground, with everybody wondering what's going on. Cobra instantly recognizes them by the voice that he hears, as Merody asks him, "I thought you beat this guy." And Blade is asking Demon what's going on, with Demon saying that she thought she did melt him, but I guess now he's just gonna melt us. Midnight asks Zero about this also, but Zero doesn't know what's going on either, as Erza is shocked, as it shows 100% she is in the outskirts of the city, and she sees just a small snippet of what's to come. As Ignia says, "Right, Aldoron?" as Aldoron rises from the ground with an explosive roar, in two back-to-back double-page spreads, as Aldoron rises from the ground in his brand new full-power, full-dragon form, which already looks better than the form that he had back in his own separate arc. And Erza is just staring at the colossus that is Aldoron at full power. And this makes me so happy because we all remember back a few chapters ago, that was in the same chapter that the Irrational States came back to face off against the sects, but they'd said that Aldoron was killed, and me and everyone else said Aldoron getting killed off screen was such a stupid idea. It really infuriated me to no end, especially with the disrespect that Mercphobia had in the previous arc. But Aldoron in particular, I was so mad about because his arc was great, and his final fight was really great with Natsu, and I was really disappointed with that. But with this, it's revealed that Aldoron never really died in the first place. He was just deep-rooted into the ground. It's very possible that what they seemingly melted was just a smaller version of Aldoron that was just taking his spot until he had enough power to just grow out of the ground and surprise everybody. So to anybody that commented that Aldoron would just pop out of the ground later on in the arc, congrats to you. You predicted it. That's awesome. And I'm so happy that he is back in the story. And I cannot wait to see at least a bit of full power Aldoron. This also shows that these demons probably aren't as strong as they're led to believe, at least not Dragon God level, which I'm thankful for if this is the case. But back to the chapter. Racer's asking what this giant monster is, as Bird just says that it's Aldoron the Wood Dragon God. But I guess we didn't detweet him after all. Look, some of these Bird jokes are funny. This one, I'm like, it's not necessary, but it's whatever, it doesn't really affect my enjoyment anyway. But with Aldoron up and all of these massive tree roots exploding everywhere, the entirety of the Irrational States got separated and everybody got split up into their own separate battlefields. As Bird lunges towards Racer to hit him with a barrage of feathers, his falcon wing, but Racer evades them instantly, telling Bird that he's slow. He then lands another solid kick with his motor ability on Bird, knocking back for an instant, but Bird flies up once more and manages to hit Racer with his Condor Fin fan, knocking him to the ground, and is right now calling Racer too slow, as he then kicks him in his head with his Eagle Attach, nailing him into the ground with great force. And we cut away from that fight to cut back to Ferris and Ignia, as she's giving a bit more of an explanation about her demon, saying that dragons and people shouldn't underestimate the power of black magic. The 6 demons born from my prayers, as we see an image of Demon looking incredibly satisfied as she is stomping down on Angel's neck, seemingly has taken her down. Midnight gets hit with a barrage of attacks from Zero, seemingly being moved out of the fight. Blade seemingly overwhelming Cobra. Richard just holding his own against Gaia, but is struggling immensely. And Merity on the ground, facing Gate. As with a sinister smile holding up her Acnologia arm, Ferris says, "These demons, my prayers, are ultimate wizards who've touched the abyss of black magic." And as she says this, Merity notices something coming out from Gate. This feeling of magic power. It feels very similar to Master Hades, giving her very bad flashbacks of her time in Tartarus. Also, I love a Hades throwback, a reference to Hades. He's definitely one of the best villains in Fairy Tail, 100%, with one of the best fights in the entirety of the series. Now, before I continue on with the closing segment of this chapter, I want to say that this feels great. Ferris is talking about the abyss of black magic, and this is most likely harkening back to like the ideals and dreams of the true magic world, the primordial magic that all magic came from. There's an abyss of darkness that Hades and Grimoire Heart were talking about and wanted to reach through meeting and gaining wisdom from Zareth back during the Tenro Island arc, which is a plot point in Fairy Tail that we've all wanted to get explored a bit more with, and it seems that Ferris is going to be that window into the true essence of magic in the Fairy Tail world, and it's an idea that Mashima is revisiting through her. And what makes this even better is that the idea that her demons, the Irrational Sext, are not only demons created by a black wizard, somebody with the abilities or at least magical force of Hades, a member of Grimoire Heart that wanted to end up finding the true essence of magic, and obviously a team/guild of 6 individuals with specific code names that are called the Irrational Sext. This feels like Mashima's way of just combining the entirety of the Barm Alliance from Fairy Tail into a singular group. And this just feels like a really cool idea. You are essentially getting some of the best ideas from the 3 biggest antagonist groups that span the entirety of the series, we're not counting the spring for this one, and put Fairy Tail and our main characters through a lot of hardship, especially Grimoire Heart and Tartarus, and combine them all under the leadership of a black wizard that is also having the powers of Acnologia. It seems like he's combining these previous ideas into what could be their natural conclusions, depending if he took a different route for the story of Fairy Tail, especially with the 6 demons. Also, calling them prayers is just really awesome. It feels like it's going to add a bit more depth to the creation of these demons by Ferris. So that is definitely an interesting way to put this, because the Irrational Sext whole power set, their whole identities were crafted by their own prayers that they've had while being stuck in the Tower of Heaven wanting freedom. It, again, feels like the best ideas and concepts from these previous antagonist groups are culminated into these 6 characters through Ferris as well. So this chapter just makes me appreciate them a lot more. It makes me want to look forward to them a lot more. Also, the fact that the Seist are struggling against these characters makes a lot more sense. I wasn't expecting them to like fully win, but at least have a hard time against these characters. But back to the chapter. Bert says that they're essentially the Irrational Seist. They are demons that have the power of black wizards. They can all use different types of black magic. So they don't use curses like the demons of Tartarus, but instead they have actual black magic, which makes things very interesting. So we're not going to see curses used again, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But we're going to see all their particular abilities. Bird's is obviously bird-based, so it's relatively simple. But after hearing the idea of black wizards, Racer says, "Black magic, huh? Reminds me of the pieces of crap who built the tower." As he gets up from the rubble, wheeling himself up, he says, "My prayer was just to run free, but it's changed now." Gets in a running position, lunges forward, and lands a devastating hit on Bird, saying that now it's to run to live, ending the chapter. So again, I don't think the Seist are going to fully win. Maybe some of them will win and some of them will lose, which would feel a lot more fair, but I'm glad that massive twists happen in this chapter. Aldoron is still alive, looks better than ever, doesn't seem too phased by what happened previously. The Irrational Sext are essentially a culmination of the previous three members of the Barm Alliance, the biggest antagonist groups in Fairy Tail before the final arc with the Spriggan 12. A whole lot of revelations were brought up in this chapter, and it seems like Racer is just embracing his new lease on life at the end of this and wanting to run past his past, and I feel like this is a good way to give the Irrational Seist more full closure that they never truly had the opportunity to earn in the mainstream of Fairy Tail's main story, because they kind of just got off-screen by August. So I never truly got that big fight that helped them showcase their new leases on life and their new prayers to live. We just kind of reached more or less that end of that journey, and I feel like this is definitely Machina's way of just tying this all together, which I'm thankful for, and I can't wait to explore through each of these fights. And again, Aldoron being back and not actually being off-screen just took a huge weight off my shoulders, and was a really good misdirect for a couple of chapters. So this definitely fully brought me back from the relative meh and the better disappointment from the Mercphobia section of the story, and I am hyped to see what happens next, and I have full confidence in Machina again, at least for the time being. But let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of this chapter and everything that we learned. Do you think it was as cool of an idea as I thought it was and appreciate it a lot more now? Or are you still kind of skeptical over the whole thing? And are you glad that Aldoron wasn't actually off-screen as much as I was? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and ensures you enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day. Aldoron lives, baby!